He shielded the alien princess from a deadly blast, but woke up surrounded by an entire alien court. He had been assigned as a security officer on a human-alien joint space outpost far from Earth. It was a large station that orbited a quiet blue planet, home to a civilization that had only recently made contact with humans. The station was bustling with activity, full of humans, aliens, scientists, diplomats, and soldiers from different species. Alex had spent weeks learning the alien language, customs, and even their strange body gestures. He had to because his job was to protect the visiting alien dignitaries, and most importantly, their princess, Lyra. Lyra was not like any human he had ever seen. Her skin glowed faintly with a soft light, and her eyes were a mix of violet and silver. She moved with grace, yet there was a quiet strength in her presence. Alex had met her only twice before, but even in those brief meetings, he could sense the weight of responsibility she carried. She was young, perhaps younger than him, but her people looked to her for guidance and protection. The human-alien alliance depended on her safety. Alex knew the importance of his role, but he also knew the stakes. Tensions had been rising. Some factions among the alien races did not trust humans, and some humans feared the alien technology. Peace was fragile. On this day, the court hall was filled with delegates. The room was large, with high ceilings and walls that shimmered like liquid crystal. The aliens' architectural style fascinated Alex. Every surface reflected light differently, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. The air hummed with the soft sound of alien energy devices, and every footstep echoed in a strange, musical tone. Alex stayed alert near the entrance, scanning the room, his hand resting lightly on his holster. Though he had no desire to use his weapon, he had to be ready. He had trained for emergencies like this, but nothing could simulate the chaos he was about to face. Princess Lyra was standing in the center of the hall, talking to a group of her advisors. Alex observed her closely. She smiled politely, nodded at questions, and listened carefully to every word. She seemed calm, but Alex noticed a slight tension in her shoulders. He stepped closer, subtly keeping himself between her and the crowd. The delegates were numerous, and while most were calm, Alex could feel an undercurrent of distrust. Some alien species did not hide their suspicion toward humans. Alex's presence alone was a reminder that the humans were not completely trusted, and he could feel eyes on him, some hostile, some curious. Suddenly, the lights in the hall flickered. Alex's heart jumped, and he instinctively scanned the room. The delegates murmured, confused. Energy readings spiked on his handheld scanner. Before he could react further, a violent blast erupted from one side of the hall. The sound was deafening, and the force of the explosion threw several delegates off balance. Dust and debris filled the air. The blast was unlike anything Alex had trained for. It was precise, deadly, and fast. It targeted the center of the hall where the princess stood. Alex didn't hesitate. He sprinted forward without thinking, his mind focused on one single thought: protect her. He reached Lyra just as the energy wave swept through the room. He grabbed her, pulling her close, and raised his body in front of hers. The force of the blast slammed against him with unimaginable power. He felt his arms tremble, his legs buckle, and his vision blurred. Sparks of energy crackled across his suit, burning and freezing at the same time. He gritted his teeth and tried to stay conscious. The princess pressed against him, her small hands gripping his shoulders, and he could hear her quiet gasp of shock. The heat, the pressure, the raw force of the attack. It was overwhelming, yet Alex refused to let go. He could not allow her to be harmed. Around him, the world exploded into chaos. Delegates screamed, guards ran in every direction, and shards of crystal and metal flew through the air. The hall seemed to twist and turn in Alex's mind. Every instinct told him to protect himself, but his training, his sense of duty, and a strange, instinctive courage forced him to stay between the blast and the princess. He felt his body strain, muscles tearing, bones aching, but he ignored the pain. The energy wave was relentless, and Alex realized he had no choice but to hold his ground until the blast passed. Then, as quickly as it had started, the world went black. Alex felt himself lifted slightly, as if the energy itself had picked him up. Then everything stopped. There was no sound, no light, no feeling, only a heavy darkness that pressed against him like a living thing. He tried to breathe, but even that was a struggle. Thoughts raced through his mind. Had he succeeded? Was the princess safe? He hoped so more than anything. He wanted to see her alive again. He wanted to make sure his sacrifice was not in vain. The darkness was complete, but somewhere deep inside, he clung to hope, even as his body screamed in pain. Time passed, though Alex had no way to measure it. He was suspended in a strange limbo, neither fully alive nor fully gone. He felt the faint awareness of movement around him. Voices, not human, whispered strangely in the darkness. Alien shapes moved near him, their energy brushing against his consciousness. He did not understand their language, but their tone was curious, cautious, and urgent. He realized that his survival was unexpected. He should not have been alive after absorbing such a blast. The aliens must have sensed it too, though he could not see them clearly. He felt a mixture of fear and confusion. What would happen when he opened his eyes? What would the aliens think of him now? Slowly, light returned. Alex's eyes fluttered open, and he realized he was no longer in the hall. He was on a smooth surface that glimmered faintly. The color was soft, unlike the harsh lights of the hall. The air smelled clean, almost sweet. Around him, a group of beings stood, watching him. They were tall, taller than most humans, and their skin shimmered with colors he could barely name. Their faces were alien, yet expressive. Some looked angry, some curious, some fearful. Alex realized he was surrounded by the entire court of aliens. His heart raced. He was in the presence of beings who could decide his fate with a single thought. The princess was among them, standing close but slightly behind, her expression unreadable. Alex tried to sit up, but his body refused. Every muscle ached, his vision blurred, and he felt weak in a way that frightened him. Yet he also felt alive, more alive than ever before. He looked at Lyra, and she looked back, her eyes wide with surprise. She reached out, touching his hand gently. Her touch was a shock, but it was also comforting. She had survived, and she was unharmed. The court murmured in confusion. Some spoke in alien tones, others in human language as they tried to interpret what had happened. Whispers spread across the room, rumors of a human surviving what should have been a deadly strike. Alex realized that he had become more than just a protector. He had become a puzzle, a living proof of human resilience. The court was not sure what to make of him, and he was not sure how to explain it. He could only meet their gaze and hope that they understood his intentions. He wanted to speak, but his throat was dry and words failed him. Lyra bent slightly, whispering in a soft, musical tone that humans could barely understand. "You saved me," she said simply. Alex felt a warmth in his chest. It was enough for now. The world had shifted around him. He had survived something impossible, protected a princess, and now stood in front of a court that could either honor him or destroy him. Alex took a deep breath, bracing himself. He would face whatever came next. He would endure as he always had. The first test was over, but the real journey, the journey among strangers who did not trust him yet, was just beginning. As he lay there, surrounded by curious and wary eyes, Alex understood something fundamental about himself and about humanity. Humans could be small, fragile, and underestimated, but they were also capable of courage, loyalty, and strength beyond imagination. In that moment, Alex decided silently that he would prove it to them, not through words, but through every action he would take from this day forward. He would not just survive, he would show that humans could stand as equals, protectors, and heroes. And somehow, he knew that Princess Lyra would be at his side, whether she knew it yet or not. The court waited for his next move, and Alex's journey had only just begun. Alex Carter slowly opened his eyes again. This time the light was brighter, soft and golden, unlike the harsh flicker of the hall. He was lying on a smooth, wide platform that seemed to float slightly above the floor. The air was warmer here, filled with a faint hum that vibrated gently against his skin. Around him, the alien court had gathered even more closely. The aliens were tall, their bodies slim and covered in shimmering skin that reflected every color of light. Their eyes were large and curious, some showing fear, some awe, and others something Alex could not name. They did not speak loudly. Instead, soft tones and musical vibrations filled the air. Alex realized they were communicating in a way that was both strange and beautiful, but he could not understand the words. Still, their attention was fully on him. Every movement, every glance seemed deliberate. Princess Lyra was nearby, her violet-silver eyes locked on him. She crouched slightly, as if to show respect but also concern. Alex could see her lips moving, forming words he could not comprehend. He tried to move, but his body ached all over. His muscles felt like they had been stretched beyond limit, and his limbs were heavy. He was alive, but barely. Yet, despite the pain, a strange energy flowed through him. The survival instinct, the same instinct that had pushed him into the blast, was still strong. He could not let fear take hold. He needed to understand what had happened and why he was still alive. Slowly, one of the alien elders stepped forward. The elder's skin glimmered with soft green light, and its eyes were calm but sharp. It raised a long hand, and the room fell silent. Even the soft hum seemed to pause. The elder spoke in its musical tones, and for a moment Alex felt a vibration against his chest that seemed almost like a word. It was not language he knew, but it carried meaning. The elder stepped closer, studying him carefully. Alex took a shallow breath, raising his hand slightly to show he meant no harm. He wanted to convey, without words, that he had acted only to protect the princess, not to challenge the court. Princess Lyra moved closer, stepping between Alex and the elder. She spoke again in soft tones, then looked at him, her eyes bright and determined. Alex could not understand the words, but her gesture was clear. She was defending him. The court whispered among themselves, and some aliens leaned closer to hear. Alex realized that this was the moment of judgment. The court had to decide if he was a threat, a curiosity, or someone worthy of respect. He felt the weight of their gaze, heavy like a pressure he had never known, yet he stayed calm, keeping his focus on Lyra. She was alive, and for now that was enough. An alien guard moved forward, raising a device that emitted a soft blue glow. Alex felt a light sweep across his body. It was a scan, something designed to measure energy, strength, and life force. He felt his body respond, like a soft wave rolling over him. The scan continued for several long moments, and Alex could sense the alien measuring every fiber of his being. He tried to relax, letting the scan complete without resisting. The court watched closely, whispering in their tones, their heads tilting as if trying to understand. Alex did not know what they expected, but he hoped his calmness would show that he was not dangerous. He had fought, yes, but only to protect. That was his truth, and he needed it to be seen. When the scan ended, the elder stepped closer again. It reached out a hand, placing it near Alex's chest. Alex could feel a warm energy, something like a pulse, running through him. It was not painful, but it made him feel exposed. He realized that the aliens were not just examining him. They were trying to understand the human spirit, the human will to survive and protect. Alex swallowed, forcing himself to remain steady. He could feel Lyra's gaze on him, and it gave him courage. She had trusted him with her life, and he would honor that trust no matter what the court decided. After what seemed like hours but was only minutes, the elder withdrew its hand and stepped back. A soft murmur passed through the court, a mixture of surprise and curiosity. Alex did not know what they were saying, but their reaction gave him hope. He had survived, endured, and still stood. He had proven something, even if the aliens did not yet fully understand it. Princess Lyra stepped forward, placing her hand lightly on his arm. Her touch was gentle but firm, and Alex felt a rush of warmth. She spoke again, and this time her tone seemed clear even without words. She was praising him, telling the court that his actions had saved her. She had risked everything for a human she barely knew, and that alone was enough to shift the court's perception. Alex tried to respond, speaking slowly in his own language. "I only wanted to protect her," he said. "Nothing else matters." The court did not understand, but his tone, the sincerity in his voice, seemed to reach them. The aliens leaned closer, tilting their heads, sensing the meaning behind the words. Alex realized that sometimes actions spoke louder than words. He had acted without thought for himself, and now that courage was being observed, measured, and perhaps even respected. He felt a strange relief, knowing that his message, though simple, had reached them in some way. Later, the court brought him to a chamber that seemed designed for healing. Smooth surfaces glowed softly, and gentle currents of air moved around him. Devices hummed quietly, scanning his body, repairing injuries, and restoring energy. Alex lay on a platform, feeling the warmth seep into his limbs. He realized that he had been lucky. Humans often survived situations by sheer determination and willpower, and his instincts had kept him alive long enough for the aliens' healing technology to take effect. He could still feel the aches and bruises, but the worst had passed. Princess Lyra remained close, watching him carefully. Her presence was comforting, a reminder that he had not failed in his mission. Over the next few hours, Alex observed the court. He noticed the subtle interactions between the aliens, their gestures, the soft vibrations in the air, the way they measured his reactions. It was like a complex dance, one that he did not fully understand, but he could see patterns. They were cautious, yet intrigued. He realized that surviving the blast had made him special, a living proof of human resilience. Whispers among the court spread quickly, some expressing admiration, others confusion. They did not fully trust him, but they could not deny what he had done. Alex felt a strange pride, tempered by the weight of responsibility. He knew that this was only the beginning of his challenge. He would have to prove his worth again and again if he wanted to earn their trust. Princess Lyra eventually guided him to sit up, supporting him carefully. Alex could feel the strength returning slowly, though he was still weak. She looked at him with something between gratitude and curiosity. "Humans are different than we expected," she said softly, though Alex did not understand the words fully. Her tone carried meaning. She was acknowledging that his survival was extraordinary. Alex nodded, letting her know he understood. He wanted to show her that he was ready for whatever came next. She smiled faintly, and Alex felt a bond forming, one that went beyond words, species, or understanding. It was simple. He had protected her, and she trusted him. That night, Alex lay on the healing platform, thinking about what had happened. He had faced a blast that could have killed him instantly. He had shielded a princess, endured pain, and survived. He had faced an entire alien court, judged not only by their curiosity but also by their doubts. He had done all this with nothing but his instinct, his training, and a simple human will to protect. And yet, he knew that this was only the start. The court would continue to test him, observing his reactions, measuring his endurance, and perhaps even his loyalty. Alex was ready. He would endure, he would survive, and he would prove that humans were more than they seemed. They were capable of courage, resilience, and strength that could change the fate of worlds. By the time the first light of the alien day shone through the crystal walls, Alex felt more alert. He had been given a chance, a rare opportunity to bridge two civilizations. Princess Lyra approached, her steps quiet and careful. She did not speak loudly, but her eyes conveyed a silent question. Could he stay? Could he continue to protect, to endure, and to prove the worth of humanity? Alex met her gaze firmly. He did not need to speak. His heart, his resolve, and his actions would answer that question. He would stay, and he would face whatever trials awaited him. This was no longer just about survival. It was about earning respect, building trust, and showing the true power of the human spirit. The court, the princess, and the aliens would learn that humans were small but fierce, underestimated but unstoppable. And Alex would be the living proof of that truth. Alex Carter stood slowly as his body regained strength. The aches from the blast were still there, but the healing technology of the alien court had done much to restore him. His muscles were stiff, his joints sore, but he felt alive. He looked around the chamber and saw Princess Lyra waiting for him. Her violet silver eyes were calm, but there was a hint of expectation. Alex knew that surviving the blast had not ended the challenge. The court wanted answers. They wanted to know what humans were capable of, and they wanted proof that he was trustworthy. He would have to face tests, and he was ready. The elder who had first approached him earlier appeared again. This time it gestured for Alex to follow. He moved carefully, still weak but determined. Lyra walked beside him, guiding him with small, steady touches. The corridor they entered was wide and circular, walls shimmering with light. Strange symbols moved across the surface like liquid, and the floor seemed to hum beneath his feet. Alex focused on each step, trying to ignore the fatigue in his body. He had survived once. He could survive again. Whatever lay ahead, he would endure. They entered a large chamber. The ceiling was impossibly high, and the walls glowed with soft, shifting colors. Alien devices lined the floor, and the hum of energy was stronger here. Alex could see several members of the court gathered, observing him. Some held instruments, scanning devices that pulsed with soft light. The elder spoke in the musical tones of their language, and Alex felt vibrations against his chest. He could not understand the words, but he sensed a meaning. This was the first test. He would be examined, measured, and judged. It was not a punishment, it was a challenge. The first test began with movement. A device on the floor activated, generating a gravity field around him. The effect was immediate. Alex felt pressure pressing down on his body, heavier than he had ever known. His legs strained, muscles burning, but he pushed forward. He walked across the chamber, each step requiring effort beyond normal human limits. The aliens watched closely, whispering among themselves. He could feel their curiosity, their surprise. Humans were fragile in their bodies, they thought. Yet here he was, enduring something that should have crushed him. He focused on breathing, moving step by step, refusing to yield. Princess Lyra's presence beside him gave him strength. He could feel her steady gaze, silent encouragement that reminded him why he could not fail. After the gravity field, another device activated. This time, a wave of energy swept across the chamber, probing his body. It measured strength, endurance, and reaction speed. Alex ducked and twisted instinctively, relying on his reflexes. He could feel the energy brushing against him, pressing on his muscles, testing his resolve. Each motion required calculation and focus. He had trained for combat, for survival, but this was different. It was a test of human endurance against something alien and unknown. He could not rely on strength alone. He had to rely on his mind, his instincts, and his willingness to endure. The wave passed, and the aliens murmured with surprise. Alex could sense that he had passed another part of the test. Then came the mental trial. Devices emitted soft pulses that brushed against his thoughts, probing his mind. Alex felt strange images, visions, and emotions surge around him. He saw flashes of alien cities, landscapes, and strange creatures. He felt pressure, confusion, even fear, yet he remained calm. He focused on one thought: protect the princess. That simple intention became his anchor. No matter what visions appeared, no matter what confusion arose, he held onto that purpose. Slowly, the pressure eased and the devices retracted. The court observed him carefully, whispering among themselves. They had expected fear, hesitation, or failure. Instead, they saw calm, focus, and determination. Alex had shown them the human mind could endure more than they believed. The final trial was physical combat, though not against anyone directly. Energy constructs appeared, humanoid in shape, moving swiftly and unpredictably. Alex was instructed to defend the princess as they approached. Instinctively, he positioned himself in front of her, ready to react. The constructs struck with speed, and Alex moved, dodging and blocking. He used his body weight, agility, and human reflexes to deflect attacks. He felt adrenaline surge, pushing him beyond pain. His arms and legs ached, his muscles burned, yet he did not falter. Every time a construct approached, he positioned himself to shield the princess. The court watched in awe. Humans were fragile, yes, but their courage and adaptability were remarkable. Alex realized that this trial was not only to test his strength, but to demonstrate humanity's ability to endure, adapt, and protect. He had lived this truth in the blast, and now he was living it again before the eyes of the entire alien court. After what felt like hours, the constructs dissipated. Alex stood, breathing heavily, covered in sweat, bruised and exhausted, but still strong. He looked at the court. The whispers had stopped, replaced by focused attention. Some members of the court stepped forward, bowing slightly. They had seen what humans could do, and even if they did not fully understand it, they respected it. Princess Lyra stepped forward as well, placing her hand on Alex's shoulder. Her eyes glimmered with pride and relief. She spoke softly in her language, and though Alex could not understand the words, the tone was unmistakable. She trusted him, she valued him, and she believed in him. Alex nodded, understanding the meaning perfectly. The elder approached him again, this time touching a device to his chest. Alex felt a warm pulse, measuring his heart, his energy, and his resilience. It confirmed what the court had already seen. Humans were stronger than they looked, capable of courage and endurance beyond expectation. The elder withdrew, bowing slightly in acknowledgement. Alex felt a surge of pride. He had faced impossible trials, endured pain and fear, and proved that humans were not weak. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Trust had been gained, but respect had to be maintained. He could not become complacent. He would continue to endure, to protect, and to show humanity's strength in every action. Over the next days, Alex spent time learning the ways of the court. He observed alien customs, studied their communication, and trained his body to adapt to their environments. Princess Lyra remained close, often guiding him through the complex rituals and social structures. Alex realized that survival was not enough. Understanding and respect were equally important. He had to prove that humans could think, adapt, and cooperate, not just fight. The court began to include him in discussions, sometimes testing his judgment with hypothetical situations or moral questions. Alex responded with honesty, clarity, and courage. Slowly, the whispers of doubt faded. The court began to see him as more than a curiosity. He was a symbol of human potential. One day, a message arrived. A group of hostile raiders had attacked a nearby planet, one under the protection of the court. The aliens were surprised by the sudden aggression and uncertain how to respond. Alex stood quietly, observing the council's deliberations. He realized this was the next real test, to act in a live situation, to protect not just the princess but an entire people. He approached Lyra, speaking in simple words. "I can help," he said. She looked at him, her eyes wide with hope. She nodded. The council agreed, somewhat reluctantly, to allow him to assist. It was unprecedented for a human to be included in their defense planning, but they trusted him enough to act. Alex felt a mix of fear and determination. This was not a simulation or a trial. Real lives were at stake, and he would have to prove humanity's strength once more. Preparing for the mission, Alex trained with the alien guards. He learned their weapons, their strategies, and their tactics. He shared human techniques, simple but effective, that helped coordinate movements and defend positions. The aliens were skeptical at first, but they quickly saw the value in his methods. Alex realized that humans had a gift not only in courage but in innovation, in thinking quickly under pressure. The court watched as human and alien strategies combined, creating a force stronger than either alone. Princess Lyra stood nearby, her presence a constant reminder of why he had to succeed. She had trusted him once. He could not let her down again. When the day of the battle came, Alex stood at the forefront of the defense. Raiders attacked with speed and fury, using advanced technology and coordinated strikes. Alex moved quickly, using both his body and his mind to protect the weaker units, guide the guards, and anticipate enemy movements. He felt fatigue and fear, but he pushed them aside. Every action, every decision mattered. The court observed with growing amazement. Humans were not invincible, but their courage, adaptability, and determination made them a formidable ally. Alex fought not for glory, but for life, for the princess, and for the trust he had earned. By the end of the conflict, the raiders were repelled, suffering more than expected. The court and the princess witnessed the human spirit in full display. Alex had proven again that humans were stronger than appearances suggested. Capable of endurance, courage, and strategic thinking, Carter had barely caught his breath after the battle with the raiders when the council received troubling news. Scouts reported a fleet approaching the capital, larger and more powerful than anything the aliens had faced before. The ships moved with precision, their weapons charged and ready to strike. Panic ran through the court, and many whispered that the city could not withstand such an assault. Alex felt a familiar rush of determination. He had survived blasts, tests, and attacks, and now he would face an even greater challenge. He glanced at Princess Lyra, who stood firm despite the fear around her. She looked at him with trust, and that trust fueled his courage. He would not let her or her people fall. The council quickly organized defenses, sending out soldiers and allocating energy shields to protect key areas. Alex was given command of a small but crucial squad of alien guards. They looked at him with doubt. Humans were strong, yes, but leading alien soldiers in battle was another matter. Alex did not speak their language fluently, but he had learned enough to give simple, clear commands. His voice carried authority, calm and firm. He could see their hesitation, but he also saw hope. They knew he had survived impossible situations and protected the princess. If anyone could lead them now, it was Alex. As the enemy fleet approached, Alex and his squad took positions along the outer walls of the city. The ships loomed large, casting shadows over the crystal buildings. The aliens had powerful energy weapons, but they were few, and the attackers outnumbered them. Alex observed the fleet carefully, noting the patterns of movement, the timing of their weapons, and the weak points in their formation. He began issuing orders, combining alien technology with human tactics he had learned on Earth. The soldiers hesitated at first but quickly adapted. Alex's commands were simple and precise. Move here, cover that point, defend this structure. Slowly, the squad began to trust him. The first wave of enemy fighters struck suddenly, swooping down like hunting birds. Energy beams lit the sky, and explosions shook the city walls. Alex moved with precision, guiding the squad to intercept the attackers, blocking their path to the central palace. He dodged blasts and directed his allies, making split-second decisions that saved dozens of lives. Alien soldiers began to follow his lead, trusting his instincts. The court watched anxiously from the palace balcony, including Princess Lyra. She saw how Alex acted without hesitation, putting himself in danger to protect her city. Her eyes glimmered with pride and gratitude. The battle raged for hours. Alex felt every punch, every shock, every warning. His body ached, but he pushed forward. Humans were not the strongest physically, but they had endurance, courage, and a will that refused to break. He used every tactic he knew, from flanking maneuvers to rapid defensive formations, adapting to the alien technology and enemy strategies. Each time the enemy gained ground, Alex countered with strategy, guiding his squad to defend weak points. He noticed patterns in the attackers' movements and exploited them. Alien soldiers began to rely on him more and more, their initial doubt replaced by admiration. Humans were small, but their minds were quick and their courage unmatched. In the midst of the battle, an enormous ship descended, larger than all the others combined. Its energy pulse swept over the walls, knocking down shields and sending debris flying. Many soldiers faltered, unsure how to respond. Alex did not hesitate. He led a charge directly to the point of attack, coordinating with alien engineers to redirect energy fields and block the pulse. His actions saved the lives of hundreds of soldiers and civilians. The council watched in disbelief. They had underestimated the human, thinking he could survive only minor danger. Now he was shaping the tide of battle itself. Princess Lyra realized that Alex was not only brave but indispensable. She sent a signal to the remaining guards, allowing him greater freedom to move troops where needed. Alex did not stop, weaving through the chaos, giving commands, covering exposed areas, and rescuing soldiers caught in blasts. He used alien technology effectively, combining it with human improvisation. He created makeshift defenses, redirected energy flows, and even led daring strikes against the enemy ships when they came too close to the city. Each time, he risked his life, but he did not hesitate. He had survived so much already. Now he would ensure that the city did not fall under his watch. Hours passed, but the battle continued. The enemy fleet seemed endless, yet Alex never wavered. His focus, determination, and human ingenuity became a beacon of hope for the alien soldiers. They fought harder, pushed further, and began to turn the tide. Alien commanders observed how his small team of humans and elite soldiers maneuvered against overwhelming odds. They realized that humans were not just strong in body, but also in mind and spirit. Alex's courage inspired them to fight beyond their limits, creating a unity that had never existed before between the human and alien forces. Finally, as the enemy fleet attempted a final assault, Alex devised a bold plan. He led a coordinated strike, targeting the largest enemy ship with alien energy cannons, human-guided precision and timing. The massive vessel was destroyed in a brilliant explosion that illuminated the city and sent shockwaves through the enemy fleet. The remaining ships hesitated, disoriented by the loss of their leader. Alex seized the moment, directing the alien defenders to push forward. One by one, the enemy ships retreated, defeated or damaged. Cheers erupted throughout the city. Alien soldiers embraced each other, grateful to be alive. The court was stunned, realizing that a human had changed the course of the battle with courage, strategy, and endurance. After the battle, the city was quiet except for the sounds of repairs and recovery. Alex sat on a platform, exhausted but alive. His body was sore, his muscles torn, and his energy nearly spent, but his spirit remained strong. Princess Lyra approached him, her steps careful. She knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Alex looked at her, feeling a warmth of pride and relief. She spoke softly, her tone calm yet full of meaning. He could not understand the words fully, but the feeling was clear: gratitude, respect, and trust. He had not only survived the trials of the court, but had also defended an entire civilization. He had proven the true strength of humans. The council formally recognized his actions. The elder who had first tested him stepped forward, speaking in musical tones and placing a hand on Alex's chest. The vibrations carried a sense of respect, honor, and acknowledgement. Alex could sense the meaning even without understanding the words. He had earned a place among the court, not as an outsider, but as a valued protector. Whispers spread throughout the city that humans were courageous, resilient, and indispensable allies. Alex had shown that courage, intelligence, and endurance could overcome even the greatest threats. Over the following days, Alex helped the court rebuild, coordinating defenses, guiding soldiers, and training others in human tactics. The aliens, who had once doubted him, now followed his lead without question. The bond between humans and the alien court grew stronger, and Princess Lyra stood close, often observing his actions with admiration. She realized that humans were more than physical beings. They had a spirit that could inspire, protect, and unite. Alex's presence had changed the court forever, and his actions were spoken of in awe and respect. Despite the accolades, Alex remained humble. He knew that the battles were not over and that threats would always come. Yet he also knew something powerful. Humans were underestimated, and their courage, ingenuity, and endurance could tip the balance of any struggle. He had shielded a princess, survived impossible blasts, passed every test, and now defended an entire city. He felt pride, but more than that, he felt purpose. He had found a place among the aliens, not just as a protector, but as a bridge between two civilizations. As night fell over the city, Alex stood on a balcony with Princess Lyra. The stars above shone brightly, and the calm after battle was a welcome relief. Lyra looked at him and smiled faintly. Alex returned the gesture, knowing that his journey was far from over. The bond they shared had grown stronger through trials, courage, and survival. Together, they had faced impossible odds and won. Alex knew that humans had proven themselves in a way that no alien could ignore. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also the strength to face whatever lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but he was ready. He had endured, fought, and survived, and now he would continue to protect, inspire, and prove the extraordinary power of the human spirit. Alex Carter felt the weight of the days pressing on him, but he stood tall on the balcony of the restored Crystal Palace. The city below sparkled with energy, alive and vibrant after the recent battle. Alien citizens moved freely, rebuilding, repairing, and celebrating the survival of their home. The court was calm, observing the progress, their faces a mixture of relief and admiration. Alex's body was still tired from the relentless battles, tests, and injuries, but his spirit was strong. He had survived the impossible, endured every trial, and proven humanity's worth. Yet he knew that honor was not simply about survival. It was about responsibility, trust, and the bonds he had formed along the way. Princess Lyra approached quietly, her violet-silver eyes reflecting the golden light of the twin suns. She moved with grace, her presence commanding yet gentle. Alex turned to her, feeling the same protective instinct he had when he had shielded her from the deadly blast weeks before. He had faced enemies, endured the court's scrutiny, and fought alongside alien soldiers, but she was always the reason he had continued. She had trusted him without hesitation, and that trust had become a foundation for their bond. Alex had learned much about alien customs, language, and thought, but he also understood something deeper. Respect and loyalty transcended species. The court had gathered in the Great Hall to formally recognize Alex's courage and contributions. He entered with Lyra by his side, his steps steady despite exhaustion. The chamber was vast, the walls shimmering with soft light, and every member of the court observed him intently. Some still whispered, but many faces showed awe and respect. Alex understood their hesitation. Humans were rare in their history, and few had ever earned a place among their leaders. Yet through actions rather than words, he had demonstrated the qualities that mattered most: bravery, endurance, intelligence, and an unwavering will to protect. He stood before the elder, the same being who had first tested him, and felt the weight of centuries of tradition pressing silently in the room. The elder raised its hand, and a calm silence filled the hall. It spoke in musical tones, vibrating through the chamber. Alex did not understand the words fully, but the meaning was clear. He was being honored. Gestures of approval and recognition spread across the court. Lyra stepped forward, her hand gently touching Alex's arm. Her eyes glimmered with pride and gratitude. Alex felt a warmth he had never known before. He had risked everything, survived the impossible, and now he was acknowledged as more than a human outsider. He was a protector, a friend, and a symbol of courage for an entire civilization. The court's recognition was not simply for his survival, but for the spirit he had shown, the spirit of humanity. After the ceremony, Alex spent days with the court, helping to strengthen defenses, train soldiers, and teach strategies that combined human and alien methods. The aliens, who had once doubted him, now followed his guidance without hesitation. His presence inspired courage and cooperation. Even the youngest trainees watched him, learning that humans could endure beyond expectation, adapt in moments of crisis, and make decisions that balanced risk and safety. Alex realized that this was more than teaching tactics. It was building trust between two civilizations. Humanity had earned respect not through domination, but through courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Princess Lyra spent much of her time by Alex's side, observing his actions, listening to his advice, and sharing insights into her people's culture. They communicated in a mixture of languages, gestures, and mutual understanding. Over time, their connection deepened, shaped by shared experiences and mutual reliance. Alex admired her wisdom, strength, and empathy. She admired his courage, ingenuity, and unwavering dedication. Together, they represented a bridge between humans and aliens, a symbol that two species, despite differences, could achieve harmony through trust and respect. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day, built on shared challenges and triumphs. One morning, as Alex trained with a squad of elite alien soldiers, a message arrived. Scouts had detected a distant fleet, smaller than the last, but moving swiftly toward the city. Alex felt no fear, only a steady resolve. The city had been rebuilt, defenses strengthened, and the soldiers had grown more skilled under his guidance. He gathered the troops, explaining a simple strategy that combined human adaptability with alien technology. They moved quickly, executing the plan with precision. Alex led by example, demonstrating courage, focus, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. The fleet approached, but thanks to preparation and coordination, it was intercepted and neutralized before reaching the city. The victory reinforced what the court had already learned. Humans were not only survivors but strategic thinkers and courageous allies. Alex had proven it once again. After the threat was gone, the court formally granted Alex a unique honor. He was named Shield Brother of the Princess, a title never before given to an outsider. It was both a recognition of his courage and a symbol of trust, binding him to Lyra and her people. Alex accepted with humility, understanding the responsibility that came with such a title. He would not only continue to protect the princess, but also serve as a link between humans and aliens, a living example of the strength of the human spirit. Lyra smiled at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and pride. The bond they shared had grown into something stronger than simple friendship. It was mutual respect, loyalty, and understanding across worlds. The days that followed were filled with work, teaching, and preparation. Alex helped design new strategies for future threats, train new recruits, and continued to bridge the gap between human and alien ways of thinking. The city flourished under careful guidance, and the court began to see humans not as fragile beings, but as courageous, intelligent, and loyal allies. Alex's presence changed the court's perception forever. The stories of his survival, courage, and leadership spread across the city and beyond, inspiring others to act bravely and with integrity. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were partners, respected and admired. One evening, Alex and Lyra walked along the city's crystal promenade, observing the stars above. The twin suns had set, and the lights of the city reflected softly against the crystal structures. Alex felt a sense of peace he had never known. He had survived impossible odds, faced countless dangers, and earned the respect of an entire civilization. Yet the greatest reward was the bond he shared with Lyra. She had trusted him when no one else could, believed in his courage, and allowed him to prove the worth of humanity. Alex knew that he would continue to protect, inspire, and serve, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. The bond they shared had become a foundation for the future, one that could shape the destiny of two civilizations. As they stood side by side, a soft breeze brushed across the crystal walkways. Lyra turned to Alex, her eyes reflecting the stars. She reached out, taking his hand gently. Alex felt the weight of the journey behind him, the trials, battles, tests, and dangers, but he also felt hope. Together, they had faced the impossible. Together, they had proven that humans were capable of extraordinary courage, endurance, and loyalty. And together, they would face whatever the future held as allies, protectors, and friends. The city below gleamed, a testament to survival, resilience, and the power of trust. Alex knew that no matter what threats might come, humanity would never be underestimated again. Over the following weeks, Alex continued his role among the court, helping to guide decisions, train soldiers, and prepare for any potential dangers. The bond between humans and aliens strengthened, and the court began to rely on human insight more and more. Alex became a symbol not only of bravery, but also of the ability to unite two very different civilizations through courage, understanding, and mutual respect. The title of Shield Brother carried weight, and he wore it with pride, not as a mark of superiority, but as a responsibility to protect, guide, and inspire. One day, the council invited Alex to address the younger members of the court, many of whom had grown up fearing humans or seeing them as weak. Alex spoke simply, explaining that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. He spoke of trust, loyalty, and the importance of protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The young aliens listened, captivated by the words of someone they had once doubted. They began to see humans as partners, not strangers, and Alex realized that his mission was far larger than any single battle. He was helping to shape the future, bridging worlds through actions and example. As time passed, Alex's story became legend. Citizens spoke of the human who had shielded a princess from a deadly blast, survived the impossible, passed every test of the court, and defended an entire city from overwhelming odds. His courage, endurance, and ingenuity became a model for all, inspiring hope and respect. Yet for Alex, the greatest reward was simple: the trust of Princess Lyra, the bond he had formed with the alien court, and the knowledge that humanity had earned its place among the stars. He had faced every challenge, endured every trial, and emerged not just alive, but respected, honored, and valued. And in that moment, Alex knew that humans were more than capable of changing the fate of worlds, one act of courage at a time. As the suns rose over the city one morning, Alex stood with Lyra, looking out across the sparkling streets. The city was safe, its people thriving, and the court united. He felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that every risk he had taken, every act of courage had made a difference. The journey had been long and dangerous, but it had also shown the true power of humanity. He had proven that humans were not weak or fragile, but capable of extraordinary bravery, endurance, and loyalty. The future was bright, full of promise, and Alex was ready to face it with courage, determination, and the unwavering will to protect those who depended on him. Together with Lyra, he would continue to serve, guide, and inspire, ensuring that humans would never again be underestimated among the stars.